We're here at this is game 6 of the finals. Have we actually won that many games? Don't we have to win more?
Pablo, I got a question.
Good.
You have a great rookie in Victor, and you've had a player like him, number 1 overall, in Tim. What's the challenge of, having a player like him coming into the league, and the expectations are high, but you still need him to be a part of a team, part of a defense, part of the offensive system?
He just comes to work every day, just like every other player. And you have a system, and he's got to learn it. He's got to learn the league. He's never played against any of these guys or with any of these guys on our team, so it's just a process. There's no formula. You just try not to skip any steps, and luckily he's an intelligent, coachable young man, and he'll eventually get there. I mean, he will be a great player, but he's got some learning to do first, just like any other player.
Pop, a year ago, when we asked you what impressed you the most about LeBron, you talked about how nobody has ever had as high of expectations and pressure entering the league, and how well he managed that throughout his career.
Right.
Now you have Wemby, who's perhaps has the highest pressure and expectations since LeBron. How do you help him learn to manage it in a similar manner?
I think one has to be careful not to assume that you have the answers. It's just like your children, or you don't know how they're really going to end up. But this young man has already been taught many important lessons. He understands the priorities. He's not fazed by the hype or anything like that. His parents already did the job with him. So I just have to not screw it up.
Pop, what are some of the things he's done to endear himself to his teammates other than be a good basketball player?
Well, he hadn't been here that long. I don't even know what people he's gravitated to the most, or how much they're doing in their off time together. This just started, so I don't know in the private moments what he's done with his teammates or what he says to them, anything like that. I mean, he's obviously a good guy. They enjoy him, he enjoys them, but anything beyond that, I would just be guessing.
Well, you mentioned that you think he's going to be a great player, but there's things that he needs to work on. What do you want to see him working on throughout the season, early this season?
Well, that's everything. He's no different than anybody else. I mean, he works on understanding some things about individual defense, team defense, individual offense, the way the team offense works. And it's a little bit of everything. It's not like today we're going to work on rebounding, and tomorrow we're going to do dribbling, and then we're going to shoot the next day or anything. You do all that stuff, and by osmosis, some of it, by repetition and practice on the court, he becomes more solid. I think that's probably the overarching theme now, is just be solid in everything that you do. You don't have to impress anybody. Just play the game. And if you play the game, according to the basketball gods, you're probably going to be in pretty good shape, because you have a lot of skills. And if you look at the greats, like Kobe or Magic, Larry, they're pretty fundamentally sound. They know how to pivot. They have rocker steps. They pump fake. They understand that it might be a steal on defense or an offensive rebound or a great pass that wins the game. Just more experience in the game and knowing what's required based on time and score, who's on the court with you, who's guarding you, who are you guarding. All those things just take time, and experience is what matters. And he's sharp enough that those experiences will mean something to him.
Off the other day with us when Victor was asked about coming to Los Angeles, he talked about what an important historical basketball city it was. He seemed genuinely excited to come here. Do you kind of get a kick out of watching him, his excitement for moments like this?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these places are new to him, obviously, but he's a very inquisitive young man. He enjoys, he's from Europe. They're a lot more cultured than we are. They're more civil than we are. They're more experienced. They travel. They speak languages. So it's not like he's a dumbstruck young kid. He's pretty worldly, and all this hype has been going on for a very long time. It's just old hat for him. He doesn't even notice it. So I'll just leave it at that.
And the other day, before overtime, I think he played 26 minutes. Is that where you want him to be these days, or can he play?
I want him to play 48.
Teron Lou earlier said that.
Who said what?
Teron Lou said earlier that Nico Batum has been raving about Wemby for like three or 4 years now.
Yeah.
When did you first catch wind of him out there, given that you have the French connection with Tony?
I didn't pay any attention to him. He was playing in France, and what do I care? That's not my job. I just coach. So as things progressed, and then the draft comes and all that, I watched some film, but I didn't really pay any attention to it because you don't think you're going to get him. In fact, when we did get him, I was on a flight to Italy. My club wondered why I would do that. It's serious. But what was I going to do? Jump in the machine with move the ping pong balls? Is that how they did it? I didn't even see it. I don't know if they still do it the same way. But there wasn't much I could do. I was asleep, and my son-in-law nudged me, woke me up, and said, "Hey, you guys got the first pick." I said, "Oh, that's good." And after that, I started watching film and seeing who he was and all. Before that, I didn't pay any attention to him.
So Tony never tried to put out anyone?
Well, I mean, Tony told me this is a hell of a player. He said he's got all kinds of skills and he's young and he's this and he's that. Yeah, Tony told me all about him, but I didn't see it. I didn't bother to do that. I didn't want that in my mind. And then you'd say, gosh, that would have been good to get him. So I didn't like him, I didn't hate him, I didn't care, whatever.
Ty Lewis said that he came back from the Team USA experience, the bench, kind of rejuvenated. We know it was the players is going to come back with a bounce. We've heard about that, but from your time on the bench, what's that do for a coach to come back after
Well,
several weeks of collaboration?
the USA basketball, is probably the most high-pressured thing a coach can be involved with, and it's the most exhilarating. You feel very responsible, and the people you're with are outstanding. I mean, from Jerry Colangelo and Sean Ford and the whole group to all the coaches, and Steve was with me, and Jay Wright and Ime Udoka, and we brought Spo in to help, and Jeff Van Gundy, and go on, and so we'd have meetings, and you'd look around the table and you go, geez, these guys are pretty sharp, that kind of thing. And now Steve's got the same thing, with his crew, and some of those guys he kept, like Spo, and Ty is, one of the fine young coaches in our league, and understands the game, understands relationships, that kind of thing. So it's just to be with those kind of people for all that time is pretty special, something you always remember.
Coach,
Last month.
Nico has talked about how Vic picks things up really quickly and has like his young life in basketball. I'm just curious, what have you seen out of him? I know it's only been a couple of months, but what have you seen out of him, the way that he processes information that you guys give him?
He's absolutely coachable. He understands everything. It's simple as that. It's not like I have to, you think I beat him up and listen to me. You know, are you listening to me? He's polite, respectful, driven. He wants to be a great player. You know.
Last month,
Period.
Last month the Clippers said that they did months of diligence before signing Josh Primo. Curious if they ever sought out your opinion about in that process.
No.
Did they ever feel like the second chance is something that was? I guess
I
how does he make the
don't. I
most
can't
of-
speak for the Clippers. I don't know what they thought.
How does he make the most of the second chance of kind of realizing his potential? Do you think?
I think that, you know, any of us who had a second chance to do anything hope that we can take advantage of it. And I would assume he feels the same way. I haven't spoken to him.
And Pop, Vic obviously gets all the attention. But what have you seen from Keldon and Devon thus far this early season?
Those two guys are, they've made big steps forward at both ends of the court. More on defense than anything. I'd say for both of them, except for the fact that Devon is starting to figure out that I want him to be a bit selfish. I want him to score, and he can score, and he's gotten a lot of confidence in his three-point shot, in his ability to be a little bit of a one-on-one player when we need it, a kind of a go-to guy. So, and in Keldon's case, he's sort of polished his game from being sort of a bull in a china shop into a more thinking, seeing player. You know, while he's driving through the china shop, he might see somebody, or he'll figure out a way to chase space and find his three-point shot because he shoots three-pointers well. So they've just steadily improved in all those areas.
Bob, do you think that Wemby could be a guy who kind of changes the goaltend rule more to like an international style because of his length and ability to just get up there like that?
Well, you know, you have to ask the league that. We'll just see what he does and see how the league responds.
Coach,
Yes.
Denis Sissoko has been sent to G League. What do you expect
Right.
from him in the next few weeks before maybe coming back to NBA team?
Well, I don't know how long he's going to be there. Have you decided he's going to be there 2 weeks? Or
Few weeks. I don't know, few months, few years. You decide.
because he's French, I have to bring him back right away. He doesn't even drink. What do I want him around for? He can't drink wine. Victor can't drink wine with me. These guys. I have to wait for Tony to come back into town. Ceedy is loaded with potential. He's thick. He's got those big thighs and that big butt, and he's got quick feet to go along with those qualities. And so I think he can be an elite defender. He's got good length to go along with all that stocky build, and he's got good height. I don't know what he is, maybe 6'6", 6'7", something like that. But the potential there to be a defender is great. So when he's in the G League, that's what we're watching. We want him to become a defender, and his offense will be fine. He's a very good passer. He's got to work on his shot, but the offense will come. But defense is something you have to have some desire to do it, no matter how much a coach bitches and moans about you playing better defense. It just doesn't get through to everybody the same way. You know, when Kawhi first came in, that was the first thing I told him. I thought he could be a all-NBA first-team defender, and that's what we're going to work on. Because, you know, he wasn't a shooter then. He wasn't a pick-and-roll player or anything like that. He worked hard to gain all those situational skills, but he did the defensive thing. He dove in with both feet and nailed it. But he had the desire to do it. So we'll see if Ceedy has that same sort of focus.
Pop, is there any difference between when a player like Kawhi comes in and you're asking them to be a defender first, a role player first, versus a guy like Victor who he's Victor, you know, he's a different heralded player right now?
Well, I mean, the Kawhi situation was different. He came in and there's Manu, Tony, and Tim. So we're not going to just give him the ball and he's going to take over. You in that situation, you are a role player in the beginning, and then you grow. So Wemby's a little bit different. We don't have that kind of talent on the team. There's no Timmy, Mono, or Tony there. So Victor, will pretty quickly become the man. It's just a matter of time when I stop holding him back. Yes.
I know it's obviously still pretty early, but you guys are about 10 points better on defense when Vic's on the court. Obviously, that's something that excites all of us. He does things that seem to kind of challenge your idea of the geometry of the court. Like, do you have any particular plays that you've seen him make that have been, eye-boggling or exciting?
I think just his shot blocking. I think he surprises a lot of people and changes shots, grazes shots, blocks shots, that kind of thing. He's got a real knack for that, with not very often leaving his feet, with pump fakes. Like you'll see Paul tonight will pump fake our team to death. I'm hoping not. But he's a pretty clever dude. And Kawai does the same thing. So I'm anxious to see how many people leave their feet and how many people can be disciplined and that sort of thing. And he's in that same category. He'll get fooled once in a while, but even if he does, with his height and length, he can get to a lot of shots. So on defense, that's been the most impressive part right now.
Does that, you also have so many guys that are same person.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You guys, you put a ton of length on the court. Like you put Sohan at point guard at certain times during preseason. Are you
Right.
hoping to be the type of team that can create a lot of deflections down the line, or you want to play more?
Well, that's the hope. It's a pretty big crew with Zach being whatever he is, 6'11", 7 feet, and Jeremy at the point. He's our official 2023-24 experiment to see what happens there. But with that length, and Devon's got length, it can be a big team, and creating a little bit of havoc and getting deflections and changing angles out on the court is very important defensively. You can just see the length of the Clippers. Defensively, they guard the ball so well and they attack the ball so well, and everybody else, is shifted in the paint, and it's long and it's hard to get in there on those guys. So we're hoping to develop the same sort of thing.